Okay, so hello everyone. I'm Drew from HS Navigator. Hope you guys have been having a great summer, and we're going to be starting our presentation on data analysis. So, first, we'll start off with the importance of data analysis. Data is money in today's economy. It is the biggest asset for big companies such as Google, Amazon, Facebook, Yahoo, etc. It helps businesses improve specific assets about their products and services. And data analysis also has high growth job segment. The impact of data analysis on society. Government policies based on census data analysis have recently been forming. It has the potential to impact opinions of large populations by messaging directly to targeted people. For example, Facebook's impact on the recent election. The ability to swing sentiments through social media. Data science is used for analyzing medical images, genetics, and genomics. It is also applicable to the development of drugs as well. And data analysis can also detect risks and fraud in the financial sector. What is data? Data is any information that can be collected, stored, and analyzed. So even this simple image from the Stone Age, where he has some carvings on the wall, is also considered data, because once again, it's information that's collected, stored, and analyzed. And the other examples include like weather data and even the sports game score. What is data analysis? Data analysis is defined as a process of collecting, cleaning, transforming, and modeling data to discover useful information for business decision making. Through data analysis, you can also detect the weaknesses and strengths of your competition, uncovering opportunities for improvement. Analyze online reviews about your competition to answer questions such as what do customers love or hate about your competitors' products or services? And if you have any questions while I'm going on, you can put it in the chat. Now we're going to continue our definition of data analysis. It is a process to extract meaning from data, and it involves the following five steps: data collection, data cleaning, data grouping, data aggregation, and data visualization. The goal of the above steps includes one or more of the following: understanding past and current scenarios to show what has already happened in the past. Future projection shows what might happen in the future based on predictions from the trends that we get from our data analysis. And we can also discover valuable insights by showing some hidden factors that were unexpected or not directly visible from the original data before the analysis. Data collection. This was the first of the five steps that I mentioned in the previous slide. And we need to focus on the following items. Is the data already available in the organization? Do we need to merge data from different sources? Are there legal requirements that need to be met? For example, privacy laws that tell who can gather what data, for how long, etc. Do we have or can we get all the data that is needed for the data analysis? Sometimes we may not be able to collect everything that is needed based on different factors such as time, volume, cost, expertise, etc. Are all the data in the same format, such as Excel, CSV, database tables, JSON, different time zones, encoding, things like that. Next up is data cleaning. Once we have the data, we need to make sure that the data set has only relevant data. Is the data well structured with well-defined fields? Can we easily merge data from all sources? Are we missing any values or is there a data gap? For example, time series data may be missing data for a few months, or sales data may be missing one segment. Is data granularity by date, by products, etc. the same across all sources? Do we need to keep data updated frequently? Does data get staled pretty quickly? Before we move on to any next steps, we may need to remove inconsistent and superfluous data from the dataset and remove outliers. And that's all you need to do for data cleaning. Next up, we'll be talking about visualization and interpretation. Once data is collected and cleaned, the data analysis can be performed. Draw meaningful and actionable insights. Create visualizations to show the results. They must be easy to comprehend. People should not need to do another analysis on the data analysis to truly understand it. It should be presentable and easily understood. It must be actionable. If the analysis shows something that cannot be acted upon, then the analysis is not worth doing. Use dashboard or storytelling to convey the findings. Next, what is the need of data analysis? It turns data points into meaningful insights. It can highlight areas for improvement. It can reveal the best directions for organizations. It shows future trends, measures the impact of marketing outreach. One example of successful data-driven product is Google Nest. It collects, analyzes, and learns from data to improve its usability. Data analysis, use cases, market research. How much of a market share the company has, which area the company needs to focus on. Product research. Is the product needed by customers? Which features of the product are being used more? Customer reviews. What customers liked and disliked. Sentiment analysis. Reactions of customer to promotions, company initiatives, and tweets. Competitive analysis. Who are the competitors and what are their competitive offerings? Now we'll be looking at the types of data analysis. Below are the major types. We will be talking about these in the coming slides. Descriptive analysis, diagnostic analysis, predictive analysis, and prescriptive analysis. The first thing we'll be talking about is descriptive analysis. The goal of this type of analysis is to answer the question, what is happening? It uses historical and current data to show what has happened in the past and what is happening now, both with the company's data and with the surrounding landscape, including competition. It shows trends and patterns in data. An example of this is Amazon.com finds all items that are being shipped very late in the past week. Data analysis, diagnostic analysis. This analysis tries to provide the details on why is it happening. Once your descriptive analysis shows something negative or positive has happened, diagnostic analysis can be done to figure out the reason or reasons behind the happening. It provides a connection between the data and the trend and tries to find out what are the factors driving the trend. An example is continuing to out previous examples of delayed shipments in Amazon. Diagnostic analysis finds that some automated robots are shut down in the warehouse, leading to this delayed shipment. Data analysis, predictive analysis. This analysis shows what is likely to happen. It uses insights from descriptive and diagnostic analysis. It extends the it extends the trend from past data to create a forecast or predict the outcome. An example would be a shipment will be continued to be delayed for the next 3 weeks. And now we'll be moving on to prescriptive analysis. It is probably the most useful analysis for companies. It helps create future plans and direction for companies. It involves advanced techniques of machine learning to come up with solutions for desired outcomes. It requires lots of effort and resources as it combines insight from all previous analyses. Notable examples: Tracking Season, The Birth of the Calendar, and Moneyball. Data analysis helps create High performing winning baseball team. Low on a budget and unable to hire top players to use the analysis of different metrics for each baseball player, including how different players will play along with each other, to identify bargain players to build a team. And they then went on a 20-game win streak. Moneyball is a great book and an equally great movie showing the power of data analysis to achieve great things. And now we'll be looking at data analysis tools. Data analysis requires a combination of tools. In addition to database and SQL, some popular tools are listed below. There are many other tools in use that are not listed here. And some popular examples include Qlik, R, Tableau, Python, Excel, Java, KNIME, and SAS. Data types. Data collected for analysis can be grouped in the following types: structured data and unstructured data. So, structured data. All data components are formatted to a set structure and formatted into precisely defined fields, mostly stored in a relational database. It is searchable and easily queried with SQL. Different systems and algorithms can utilize the data without much effort. It is easy to comprehend for analysts. There are more tools that have been tried and tested in using and analyzing structured data. It is easy to integrate with new or other external data sources. Some examples are any inventory management system, libraries, banks, reservation systems, Uber. Now we'll be looking at unstructured data. Data is in native format, such as .doc, XLS, PDF, JPG, JSON, etc. Some examples are surveillance photos and videos, emails, PDFs, social posts, tweets, Internet of Things, sensor data, satellite imagery, etc. Data needs to be cleaned up and transformed into a searchable form. Faster accumulation rates. There is no need to predefine the data, which means it can be collected quickly and easily. It takes more time to analyze this data, as we need to understand the data structure first, and then we need to extract the needed information, and then finally transform it to work with our dataset. Specialized and limited tools are needed to process this type of data, cannot be easily grouped, aggregated, and searched. Now we'll be looking at data size. Data size has increased exponentially. There will be even more data in the coming years with connected automated devices and driving vehicles, small machines like Google Assistant and Alexa, product reviews, social interactions, wearable devices, etc. And on the right, you can see as we progress through different eras and as time went on, you can see how big the data around the world has become. We went from things like kilobytes, megabytes, gigabytes, terabytes, petabytes, and now to zettabytes and yottabytes. Now we'll be looking at the techniques of data analysis. Regressional analysis. Regression analysis is a set of statistical processes used to estimate the relationship between variables. It shows how changes it shows how changes to one or more variables might affect another. For example, how might social media affect sales? Then there's cohort analysis. Cohort analysis is used to break a data set down into groups that share common characteristics or cohorts for analysis. This is often used to understand customer segments. An example, e-commerce companies or digital advertising companies can choose to show one version of an advertisement to one set of customers and another version of the advertisement to a different set of customers to better target a specific audience and suit their needs. Then we have cluster analysis. This analysis classifies objects or cases into relative groups called clusters. It can be used to reveal structures in data. Some examples are COVID spread analysis, can highlight areas with high rates of inflection. And insurance firms might use cluster analysis to investigate why certain locations are associated with particular insurance claims. Then we have time series analysis. This technique deals with time series data or trend analysis. It is frequently used for economic and sales forecasting. Time series data means that data is in a series of particular time periods or intervals. Examples, companies provide their quarterly forecast. Big data storage. Big data cannot be handled by simple spreadsheets, notepads, or other small applications. They need specialized systems to store and process large amounts of data. Some examples of these large systems that can process huge amounts of data include Spark, Hadoop, Teradata, Oracle Big Data, and Amazon Web Services. Data analysis. Case 1. We have a small store, the Krusty Krabs. At the end of a hard day, SpongeBob and Squidward can recollect from memory all the sales that determine the profit or loss inventory and can record it in a few pages. And here's a small example of what they could have recorded. They have the date of the sale, the item that was sold, Krabby Patties, the quantities, and the profit earned. Case 2. A big company such as Walmart and Amazon. They have millions of transactions, sales, returns, etc., across hundreds of stores across the world. They cannot simply record transactions locally based on memory on like a piece of paper. Data retrieval cannot review all transactions. The list is simply too big for any application to handle. They need mechanisms to query and aggregate the data, such as SQL. Data aggregation. Here are some different functions we can use to aggregate data. Sum, total profit or total sales. Average, the average number of visitors in a store per day. Rank, which products are performing better and which products are not doing as well. Year over year, how is the store doing compared to previous years? Month over month, how is the store doing compared to other months? Median, what is the quantity being ordered the most frequently? Data review, pivot table. A very useful tool to look into data is from different angles is a pivot table. And over here you can see an example of a pivot table, and we'll also be making a pivot table in a live example later in the presentation. Data visualization. It is the process of describing information and finding through visual rendering. It showcases data in a way the human brain can easily absorb. On the left over here, you can see a bunch of data listed on a table, but it is almost impossible to understand and get a grasp of what the data is trying to tell you. But then if you visualize the data on a map or on a bar chart or any type of visual representation, it's so much easier to compare different trends. Like for example, in this one, you can easily see the overall declining trend, which you could never have found from this data. Visualization is worth millions of data points. The dashboard, as shown below, can be used as a digital cockpit. The information here can easily be understood and lead to the user to focus on needed areas and guide the company in the correct direction. Scatter plots. The first step of any data analysis is to use a scatter plot. It shows the relation between two variables. Outliers can easily be identified. The plot shows the more time you've spent on a game, the more points you will score. So as you can see here, after we plotted all our data down, we can see an overall increasing trend. Except for these two outliers, you can almost see a line going straight through it. And that is one way visualization can help you identify trends. Data visualization. Speak to a specific audience. Creating nice visualizations and putting them together into dashboards is not just an exercise in providing information to the masses. This is a case where one size does not fit all. We need to know who this viz is and what their goal is. It should alert the viewer of any outside the norm activity. Data visualization. Best practices. Choose the right visual for the purpose. The chart type must be selected carefully. For example, tables can show a lot of information in a structured way, but may overwhelm users who are just looking for high-level trends. Line charts track changes or trends over time and show the relationship between two or more variables. Each chart type serves its own purpose. Depending on the goal, the data available, and the audience the chart type must be chosen so that it is actionable. Best practices. Provide context. Context builds trust, which leads to action. An excellent data visualization technique is to help demonstrate performance would be the use of color, arrows, text, and other visual cues to help viewers see at a glance how to interpret information and charts shown in the dashboard. Not only users need to see the chart and the outcome, but they also need to feel comfortable in using those. Charts must provide a clear and concise way of providing the information that leads to the outcome. Keep visualizations and dashboards simple and digestible. Too much of anything becomes toxic. Same logic applies to visualization. Keep the dashboard simple enough to convey the message in a glance. Users should be able to quickly understand high-level overview information and should have the ability to dig deeper if needed. Don't clutter the space with unnecessary and complex information. Scatter plots. It is very helpful in understanding data if the dataset is new and not enough information is available. Over here, you can see a strong positive linear data scatter plot in the top left. And you can see overall, as you increase your values on the x-axis, your value on the y-axis also increases. And it has a strong relation because all the data is very clumped up and close to each other, so you can easily identify a trend. In the top right, you can see moderate negative linear. It's negative because overall, as you can see, as your x value increases, your y value is decreasing. It's linear because it's straight, and it's moderate because the data is not as close together as the top left original data set we looked at. In this top right data set, it's more spread apart, and you can't draw a very a solid line. In the bottom left, as you can see, there's no trend and no relationship. The x and y axis data seems to be unrelated as the data points are all over the place. And then there's a strong nonlinear parabolic data at the bottom right. As you can see, it forms a downwards parabola, and all the data is pretty close to each other, just like the top left, making it strong. Now we'll be looking at bar plots. We have things like stacked bar charts to compare, and over here we're comparing different consoles and different regions. So as you can see on the y-axis, we have different consoles such as the Nintendo DS, PlayStation 2, Game Boy, PlayStation Wii, Game Boy Advance, PlayStation Portable. We have different regions represented by different colors. And then on the x-axis, we have unit sales in millions. So then an example of a conclusion we can draw from here is even though the Game Boy is third overall, it appears to be the first within Japan. Next, we have a pie chart. It shows a fraction of the whole. It is used to compare different categories. And over here we have reasons of ending a Monopoly game. Somebody won represents a very small fraction. Everyone quit after 3 hours represents a little bigger fraction. And the majority of the reasons people leave is someone flipped over the board in a fit of rage. Next we have time series. Looking at activities over time, there are two components: trends. which is the overall total sales is increasing. And then we have seasonality. Every December, the sales goes up and then it comes down. And as you can see on the right, the data, we can compare different years' data, and you can see they all have similar trends. Now will be looking at data visualization on maps. This map shows the COVID spread across the country. And if once again, if we didn't have it visualized and simply had a table, we'd just be looking at different like small areas and huge numbers, which we would not be able to interpret. But with the map over here, we can see that these red areas have high COVID transmissions over here and here, and then we can overall tell which areas have low COVID rates, which we once again would not be able to tell from without a visualization. Here's some other types of charts. We have a donut chart, a candlestick chart, a Sankey chart, and a funnel chart. And different charts have different purposes, and you can use it for different goals or different audiences, etc. So this is used to see the movement of items between groups. As you can see from left to right, we have different connections from different topics and groups. And yeah, and funnel charts can be used in sales and marketing. For example, this could represent the first top part of the funnel, which is the largest part of the funnel, could represent the number of people that walk into a store or like start shopping. The smaller section, the more filtered out section, could represent the number of people that put something in their cart. This even smaller section could represent the people that go to checkout, and the smallest, most filtered section could represent the people that actually buy something. Now here's some tools for data visualization. Below are some tools used for creating visualization, each having its own pros and cons. Excel, Google Sheets, Tableau, Click, scripting, so like R and Python. And while I only listed a few here, there are also a lot more different softwares available to create data visualizations, and each of them have their own pros and cons once again. Tools and features. Features of a good visualization tool. The ability to handle large amounts of data, and that could include millions and millions of records. The ability to merge data from different sources. The ability to control who can see what data, which is data security and privacy. It must be able to refresh the data and visualization at some frequency. It should be able to show a dashboard with multiple visualizations grouped together. It should provide the ability to interact with the dashboard, such as data filtering, and it should support many chart types. Now we'll be looking at Tableau. It can connect to hundreds of data sources and types, such as Excel, CSV, MySQL, Oracle, Teradata, Hadoop, Amazon. The free versions are available for testing. Big community support. You can get you can get answers to most of your questions within a large community group. That's very helping. There are lots of tutorials available for this tool. It's very fast in creating charts and handling data. It has an easy drag and drop option to create many visual datas, including data tables. It can easily change from one chart to another. Okay, so now we'll be doing a live example. First, we'll be starting off with the pivot table in Google Sheets. So I'll be sharing my screen in a second and we'll start that. Okay, so I have Google Sheets open right here, and this is a pivot table that I've created for before, and I'll be showing you how we created it. And shows the sum of profits within different states on the East Coast, and that's all taken from this big data set right here. This data set represents different information from a store that sells products. There are things such as order dates, shipment date, and we also have the city, state. All of them are the United States, but we have city, states, postal codes, and we also have product names, the sales, the category they're from, the subcategory they're from, and the profit earned from each different area. And we also have other data, other types of information within this data set. So yeah, once again, over here, I have data sorted for states on the East Coast or near the East Coast. And we have different categories within each category and each state, the profit, and here's the sum of the profits. So we'll be creating another pivot table to easily represent that. As you can see that you would not be able to easily understand that data by just simply looking at this huge clunk of information, which is why a pivot table is useful. So to create a pivot table, we're going to go to Insert, Pivot Table, and then we're going to select the data range by going to Data, our data, and dragging across. And then where to create the pivot table, we're going to go to an existing sheet, select, and we're going to make it right here. And that created a pivot table. Now on the right, we have our pivot table settings. We have rows, columns, values, and filters. And over here, we have the different subcategories of our big data set. So I could put state over here in rows, and then I could put profit for our values. So that starts us off with something. And then as you can see here, we divided the profit up based on the subcategories of the products: furniture, office supplies, and technology. So we could take category and no, we'd select this and take category and put that under columns. And now as you can see, we've divided up the profit of each state based on category: furniture, office supplies, technology, and grand total. And now if we want to filter only East Coast states like that, under filters, we can take region, and then under region, we'll simply put East. And that is how we created that data table. And then we can do different things like put different topics for rows, columns, or values, or we can look at the West Coast if we wanted to. So now we'd be looking at the West area, the West region of the country, and their profit and losses. And yeah, that's how you can create a pivot table. And as you can see, once again, this data is much more specific to what we need. We can, based on our needs and our goals for what we're trying to analyze, we can put different filters and different categories into our rows, columns, and values and filters. And that's much more quickly understandable than this huge clunk of data over here. And we can also do things like make a chart. So for example, if we want to make a chart right here, we can select that, insert, and chart. And now, as you can see, we have created a more visual representation of our data. So we have out of this, you can easily tell that New York has the highest sales. Ohio and Pennsylvania are going in loss. So yeah, New York generates a lot of profit, and then the rest of the areas don't generate nearly as much as New York. And you can also tell that in New York, some categories are selling much higher than others. So that's what a visual representation can help you out with. And then also right now we're looking at we can do different things such as average. We can look at the average profit instead of the sum of the profit. We can look at the median profit instead of the average profit, and we can do different commands by just clicking this drop down list and picking one. Yeah. Okay, so that was our pivot table in Google Sheets. And now we'll be moving to data visualization in Tableau. So this is another live demonstration we're going to be doing on online Tableau, and we'll be representing different types of data with different types of charts. Okay, so now we'll be starting the Tableau demonstration. Okay, so over here we have a data set once again, and we have different categories from our table on the left over here. We have things such as shipment date, shipment mode, state, categories, and then up at the top you have things like order date, order ID, customer information, city, country, etc. So this is our data source, and you can upload a data set onto Tableau by clicking this button right here, but we've already uploaded our data set from before to save time. So this is a new empty sheet that we have just created right here. And then once again, this is all our categories from the data set that we've uploaded. So I'm going to take order date and drag it right here to rows. And as you can see, it started displaying the year of the order. Then I'll be dragging profit from the left to columns right here. And as you can see, it already started showing us a visualization. And over here, you can see our values based on the date. And then on the right, we have different charts. As you can see, if you click a chart, it'll show a different type of visualization. For example, over here, by looking at this chart, we can see an overall increasing trend as the years go by in profit. We can change our yearly date to quarter date, then we can change it based on the month, as you can see. and then we get a more specific, narrowed down view of our data. If we click analytics over here, we can see more options. And then you can see a line of best fit that's created that once again shows an overall increasing trend over here. It's called a trend line. So now I'm going to create a new sheet, go back to data, and now we'll be putting region in the rows. So as you can see, it started already displaying central, east, south, west, and the different regions. And when I drag profit up here, based on the regions, it'll show me different profits. Now I can do different things such as select a pie chart, and this can give me a better visual representation of how the profit is are distributed amongst different regions, the central, east, south, and west. Yeah, and we can bring the numbers up so we can see that the west has the most profit while the central region has the least profit. So under filters, I can bring up state, and then I can include or exclude certain states and locations to modify and like narrow down the data. And this is an example of lots of different types of data visualizations representing different aspects of the data set that we have stored. We have things like a bar chart, a table, a pie chart, and a line chart. And it shows all of them are showing different things and are representations in different ways with all different goals. And once again, all of this is much easier and more efficient to understand than simply looking at a huge table with lots of information. And yeah, that was our example for Tableau. So now I'll be bringing the slides back up. And once again, both the softwares that I used, Google Sheets and Tableau, are free. You can easily access Google Sheets by just making one in Drive, and you can go to public.tableau.com if you want to use Tableau. They're all free and they're easy to use, so you guys should definitely give it a try. Forecasting. One of the many goals of data analysis is to provide forecasting. As you can see, based on the trend, a line of best fit or a trend line can be created to predict future trends. So as you can see in this bottom chart, we have we have the line of best fit that came from this data and the trend line created. And then we can extend the trend line to predict what values we might have in the future further down the line. Line of best fit. Linear regression creates the best line of fit. The best line of fit has the least error bound away from all the data points. We can use y equals mx plus b if we want a linear line of best fit. And we can the best trend line will minimize the error and deviation from our data. As you can see here, this line of best fit overall is as close as you can get to all of our data points, which makes it a strong line of best fit. Now we have nonlinear regression. Most of the time, a straight line may not represent a trend properly. For example, if we had a straight line just going something like this, straight down, we would not be accurately representing this spike and then drop in the trend. We may need to use nonlinear regression in those cases, such as this one, where we have a curved line that goes up, peaks over here, and then starts falling. Now we have data analysis caveats. Correlation versus causation. You can do a correlation analysis on any two data points, but they may not necessarily impact each other. An example, correlation between ice cream sales and sunglasses sold. As the sales of ice cream is increasing, so do the sales of sunglasses. But sunglasses are not directly causing ice cream sales to go up. Causation takes a step further. It says that any change in values of one variable will cause a change of values in another variable, and it is also referred to as the cause and effect. An example is when a person is exercising, then the amount of calories burning goes up for every minute. The former is causing the latter to happen. Data analysis caveats. Confirmation bias. A confirmation bias results when researchers choose only the data that supports their own hypothesis. Data scientists exhibit confirmation bias when they actively seek out and assign more weight to evidence that confirms their hypothesis and ignore or underweigh evidence that could disconfirm their hypothesis. Researchers need to be very careful as given large amounts of data set, it can tell you anything you like. Advanced data analysis. Text analysis, such as customer reviews and tweets. Sentiment analysis. They're helpful for marketing outreach and politics. Deep data mining. They can explore and find data that is not directly visible or expected. Machine learning, neural networks, and AI. Data analysis examples. The words they used. Good use of bubbles and table convey the information. Data analysis examples. Military spending by country. As you can see here, we have another visualization of how much the militaries of different countries spend. The larger the circle, the more money the country spends on their military. As you can see, this data visualization helps us easily understand that the US by far spends the most money, and then after the US comes China and Saudi Arabia and so on. And here's another example of a data analysis, the global average temperature compared to the middle of the 20th century. So as you can see here, once again, we can see an overall increasing trend, and the rate at which the overall temperature is increasing is also climbing up. Here's another example of a data analysis, the mystery of the missing bus riders. The but here this graph shows the bus ridership in Miami, Minneapolis, Atlanta, and Portland. And as you can see, overall, once again, they all have decreased very significantly. Advanced techniques. Data analysis can use advanced techniques such as machine learning with things such as Google Assistant and Siri, and artificial intelligence is also coming into play with things such as self-driving cars and other intelligent machines. Now we have data analysis future. By 2023, the industry of big data is expected to be worth approximately $77 billion. 94% of enterprises say that analyzing data is important for business growth and digital transformation. Companies that exploit the full potential of their data can increase their operating margins by 60%. The next steps for data analysis. Kaggle.com. Lots of free real data sets to play with. It also has lots of scripts for machine learning and data analysis. And Tableau Public, as we already went over, it's easy to create visualizations for free. You can go to public.tableau.com and easily access it by creating an account. Then Reddit slash r slash data is beautiful for some good visualizations. Over 60 New York Times graphs for students to analyze, nytimes.com. And this is the end. Thank you guys for watching data analysis. You can reach out to me at dhruv.rai@hsnavigator.org. And you can also connect to me on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn is right here, linkedin.com/in. And you can connect to me over there. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask me. Thank you and enjoy your summer.